Welcome back, it's NIXNE, and today I got another PlayStation video for you guys. We are talking about a possible Uncharted 5 in production, 1440p support for the PS5 being confirmed, Destruction AllStars being a PS Plus free game, and lastly, we're going to be going over a bunch of UbiSoft games that support 4K 60 FPS. Now, before we get into that, if you haven't subscribed already, we are almost at 3,000 subscribers. Please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to get notified about all my upcoming videos, and hit the like button. It helps the channel a ton. Now let's get right into this, starting with this article that comes from PSU.com titled SIE Malaysia taking on senior animators to work on well-loved franchise. And the job description, it says, our animation team is currently working on one of PlayStation's well-known and well-loved franchises. We're looking for talented, highly motivated, and creative animators to breathe life into the next chapter of cinematic storytelling. So I truly believe that this is Uncharted 5 or some sort of Uncharted universe game. I just can't see this being anything else. They're talking about the next chapter in a cinematic storytelling game. Like, this spells Uncharted all over it. This has Uncharted all over it. I just don't see it going any other way. I don't see Naughty Dog going back to Uncharted. They haven't even alluded to them going back to it, so my assumption is that definitely they have no chance of going back to that. They've discussed going back to Last of Us for a third entry, and they've talked about doing something new, but they've never discussed Uncharted again. So I just truly feel that if an Uncharted game is going to happen, it's going to be done by SIE Malaysia. Now, it could be something else, but I just don't think that's the case. I really do truly believe that it's going to be Uncharted 5. I'd love to hear from you guys. Tell me what you think they could possibly be working on. And would you want it to be Uncharted 5, or would you prefer they go do something else? Like, I would love to see them revisit Jak and Daxter. I know that Naughty Dog's not going to bother doing that. So if they had another team that would make another entry in that, I feel like it'd be interesting to see that. But then again, maybe, you know, there's not as big of a demand for that versus, say, another Uncharted game. Anyway, on to our next topic, and this comes from WCCFtech.com, titled PS5 1440p resolution support might be in, according to Benq. While there's a lot of talk of 120Hz with regard to the new consoles and late 2020 graphics cards, let's be realistic, most of it doesn't apply to 4K, but more to 1080p or 1440p. It'll be another generation before 120 frames per second in 4K or normative for the majority of games. We expect the PS5 and by extension most PC titles to deliver firm 4K 60 Hz for the next few years. If you're interested in high frame rates, you may want to consider a good QHD gaming monitor, as 1440p will be supported by the PS5 with a higher likelihood of 120Hz in that resolution. So yeah, this is them kind of alluding to the very good point that the PS5 is going to support 1440p. Now, I do think this is a confirmation, and I think it was kind of obvious. Like, let's be realistic here. You know, the PS5 gets hooked up to a monitor, let's say, a gaming monitor that supports 1440p maximum, right? I think it's only going to make sense that it's going to support that 1440p. I would be shocked if it was either 1080 or 4K only. Now, obviously, we haven't got the systems in. Once I do get it in, I'll definitely know for sure if it does support that. But I imagine that it's probably going to be out there confirmed 100% before I get the console, as they are already out in the wild with US press, reviewing the console. So I imagine that 1440p will be supported. Like I said, I would be surprised if it isn't, but this is another reason why you should feel more comfortable with the thought of 1440p being supported. Now, on to our next topic, and this one comes from the PlayStation blog, and it's titled Destruction AllStars coming to PlayStation Plus in February. Now, I'm not going to read this entire thing, but I'm going to summarize it for you guys. So the gist of it is that the game has been delayed from November 2020 to February 2021, and in that time, it's going to be a free game with PlayStation Plus for 2 months. So that means that if you have PlayStation Plus, you're going to have access to this game. I imagine that you're going to be able to keep the game as long as you remain as a PlayStation Plus subscriber. They're also going to drop a brand new trailer as well. Now, I think the biggest thing here is, first of all, it's okay that it's delayed. I don't think it's a huge deal. There's a lot coming out in November. Believe you me, I don't think all of us need another game to play. We already have a lot on our plate as it is, but I do think that them giving it away as a PS Plus game for 2 months is going to make that difference, especially because it is a multiplayer game. I think if you remember the Psyonix game, Rocket League, it came out as a PS Plus game when it first debuted, and they also had it I think, pretty much exclusive to the PS4 for a while. Then it went to PC and Xbox, as well as I think it's on Nintendo Switch now. But anyway, my point being that it being a PS Plus game and being a multiplayer game, it made a huge difference. It made that game super successful. And obviously now it's a free-to-play game and it's monetized in other ways, and they are still making a killing off of that game. So yes, Destruction All-Stars could benefit from this quite a lot, being a free game for 2 months on PS Plus memberships. But overall, I think, when the game comes out, it comes out. November's busy. February should be fine. So I don't think anybody should be too upset about this. I mean, if you are, sorry to hear that, but I do think that November's already jam-packed with games, and the last thing we need is some more games in November. So I'm quite all right with waiting. I'm sure many, if not most people are. So on to our last topic, and this one comes from PSU.com, and it's titled Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Immortals Fenyx Rising, Far Cry 6, and Riders Republic will all run at 4K 60 FPS on PS5. There is one other game on this list, Watch Dogs Legion, which will be running at 4K 30 FPS, but it will have ray tracing on. So that's why it'll be running at 4K 30. So this whole thing comes from Ubisoft's website. Like, the original post comes from Ubisoft's website. So this isn't based on, what somebody else is saying. This is straight from the horse's mouth. We know that these games will be running at 4K 60. So that's to say that, we heard a lot of banter on the internet amongst many different fans from both sides. And the argument was that, Assassin's Creed was not going to run at 4K 60 on PS5. Assassin's Creed was not capable of running at 4K 60 on PS5 because the console was too weak. And it seems like all of this has been debunked at this point. Clearly, it's not a problem. Clearly, it's running just as well as it would on a Xbox Series X. And I think that's the point here. I think that, all the banter that we heard across the internet is all moot at this point. It's a negligible difference. It really is. 15% is not a huge difference. So therefore, we are not going to see this astronomical difference in multiplayer games as people seem to think there's going to be. And I think it's just that simple. I do imagine there'll be some games and rare instances that have subtle things that run a little better. But I think overall, in the grand scheme of things, we are not seeing a huge difference. A 15% increase in GPU power, even on a PC, doesn't do that much. I've talked to people who are very well versed in PC hardware, and they have said the exact same thing, that 15% is not a huge difference when it comes to GPU. It just doesn't, right? Are we talking about a few frames per second? Are we talking about putting a setting higher? You can't really do that much more with 15% more power, as far as I know. Now, obviously, I'm not a computer engineer or whatever, so I'm just talking based off of conversations I've had with people who are well-versed and also on information I've researched myself on the internet. Now, this pretty much wraps up the video for today. I originally intended to do a reaction video to the Xbox Next Gen walkthrough. I did put out a poll. The 55% of you that said no, there's a small percentage that said indifferent, and the other percentage that said yes. So overall, I'll let you guys decide. Majority of you said no, so we're just going to leave it at that. I would like to pass this on to you all and ask you, number one, what game do you think is being worked on at SIE Malaysia? Do you think it could be Uncharted 5? What do you think of 1440p support? Does that apply to you? Do you have a 1440p display that you'd like to take advantage of? What do you think of Destruction All-Stars delay and it being a free game for 2 months? And lastly, how do you feel about all these Ubisoft games being 4K 60 on the PS5? Let me know in the comments. And as always, if you have not subscribed already, we are almost at 3K. Please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification bell to get notified about all my upcoming videos. Hit the like button. It helps the channel a ton. You can follow me on Twitter. Link will be in the description. And share this video with a friend. I will talk to you all on the next one. Take care.